So we got a couple of different options here. We're gonna do Shula last, because I want to wrap things up where they started with her. So we're gonna go over to this lovely lady here, Delina.
My lord, might I have a moment of your time?
Take 1, take 2, take 38. I don't care.
Certainly. What is it?
It's a long story. But before we get to that, would I be right in thinking Lady Shula told you about the witch from the north?
Yes, the magic time witch.
She said that your ancestors found her here, and that it was she who taught them the spell to stop time. She was like Walius, you know. A dominant. The Warden of Ice.
My great-grandmother suspected as much. She cared for the poor woman when the end was near. And it was she whose duty became to attend her grave. A duty that was passed down to me.
Is her grave in a little offshoot that's been previously inaccessible to us?
The service you would beg of me?
Well, until recently, the path to the grave had long been blocked by a fallen tree. But when our woodsmen finally found time to move it, we quickly realized it might have been better had they not. On trying to clear the rest of the path, you see, we discovered that a flock of bloodthirsty beasts had claimed the cliffs beyond. None of us was a match for them. But you, my lord, have proven your strength many times over. Would you drive them away for us?
I'm realizing that every single one of these side quests has had a monster we have to fight. That's basically where they end. Defeat the Tonberry King. Go defeat the icon splinter thing. Go fight some bloodthirsty beasts.
I'll see the path is made safe.
Can't we just have a quest where we do something nice for somebody?
The grave
Go pick some flowers or the like.
To reach it, one must turn left at the Winged Wains, then follow the path around to the right, deep into the forest.
Why so far from Haven?
It was where she lived. When our ancestors first came to Mysidia, they found her there, in an old abandoned village, and it was her heartfelt wish to return there in death. So when she passed away, my great-grandmother had a stone erected for her on the cliffs overlooking the place she once called home.
How thoughtful. Well then, no time like the present. Left at the ships, then round to the right, you said.
Just so. Thank you once again, my lord. I will join you at the grave anon.
Should be simple enough. Can you play this game without map markers? I'm asking because they tend to give very specific directions for where to go, and I'm just wondering, like, you can't get lost. There's a big mark in the map. So I just wonder if there's a thing in settings where you can say, hey, don't tell me where to go. This is probably something we discussed a year ago when the game came out and we played through it for the first time, which has almost been a year. Didn't the game come out in March, I'm pretty sure? No, sorry, not March. June of 2023? It's crazy. Which means that PlayStation exclusivity is about to wrap up right around the time of Summer Games Fest. Isn't it crazy how that works out? Wouldn't be surprised if we got our, you know, hey, PlayStation exclusivity's come to an end, get the game on Steam. I saw an interesting video the other day from someone trying to make the point that these game studios, they like EGS exclusivity because they get a higher cut of the game sales. And I was like, yeah, you know what, that makes sense. Oh, geez, we definitely went the wrong way. The issue is, right, no one's going to buy the game on EGS. So would you rather a higher cut of sales you don't make, or a smaller cut of sales you do make? Right? Like, that's the primary difference there. I think most PC gamers are just not going to buy games on EGS. It's not going to happen. Do I think Valve charges, like, a bit too much for... Oh my gosh, this is so confusing. How do we get back there?
Come on.
I think Valve could probably stand to cut back their take a little bit. You know, I'm not a businessman, but I don't think Valve's hurting for money, especially when you got your Steam Deck out there. But at the same time, that is like behind-the-scenes dealing that is up for the studios and the platform holders to figure out. It's not my job to be a part of that. And then also, again, the notion that the Epic Games Store is somehow creating competition is absurd to me when what they're doing is buying exclusivity and they're not actually competing on the platform's own value or usefulness. And then, the other big issue here...
This should be the path to Witchdrop.
well
Hungry
spotted,
Toggle.
is that EGS is not competing for customers. They're competing for studios. They're competing behind the scenes to get studios to come to them for exclusivity. But they're not competing to get gamers on their store, which is why they don't get sales. No one wants to use them because they're an objectively inferior, gosh darn, service. So, I mean, that's the only way you're ever going to really get competition, is when you stop just trying to compete to get games on the platform and start competing to make the platform actually a worthy alternative to something like Steam or GOG. The big thing for me with GOG is that games are DRM-free. I'd pay more for games on GOG if it meant getting them DRM-free. I'd absolutely do that in a heartbeat. But Steam is just a better platform. And you can make all the backroom dealings and say we're offering competition, but you're just competing to get the games on the platform. You're not doing anything to get gamers on the platform. Oh, we give them free games, yeah. Like a lot of other people, I go on Epic, and I get my games for free, and I don't buy anything on there. The only game I've ever purchased on the Epic Game Launcher was Satisfactory, and that was like before they actually went crazy with all of their absurdist like exclusivity deals that, you know, splinter the gaming ecosystem. I refuse to abide it any further. None of that has any bearing on what's going on, by the way. I'm just out here fighting a griffin. I imagine there's going to be a boss monster, right? It's not just going to be some birds and a griffin. Maybe it is. Maybe it is that simple. Surely we're going to go down into the grave now, and she'll be there and be like, "No one has attended to me since I've died these long years. I'm going to fight you now."
Looks like that's the last of them. Now, where's the grave?
I'm the spirit of an old icon. Jill took my powers. When I died, I think not. I will consume your flesh and be reborn as the new old icon. Or it's just like a lovely grave. It is actually a lovely grave surrounded by flowers. Do we hear any dripping of water? Not at the present, we don't. Okay, let's activate it.
This must be it.
What gave it away?
My lord, thank you for making the path safe again.
Ise. Was that her name?
Yes. Hardly the most fitting tribute for a dominant, is it? A rough-hewn stone with naught but a given name engraved on it. But my ancestors had only been here a matter of weeks when she passed. Every day was a struggle to survive. They had neither the time nor the energy to devote to a more elaborate memorial. Yet they spared what they could to grant her wish, that even in death she might continue to watch over her home.
She lived down there then? In the ruins?
That's right. They were once the living quarters for those who served up in the temple. When the Northern Thanes sent her here to weave her spell, this was where she and her retinue stayed. There were priests, handmaidens, and a knight sworn to shield her from harm.
We're getting a whole lot of lore here.
Of course, they were all gone by the time my ancestors arrived, fled or dead in the Western Wars.
All except Ise, who remained till the end. Alone.
Indeed. At least, that is the story as it's been handed down in Haven. But there is an epilogue to the tale. One known only to Lady Shula and myself.
Yeah?
Some years after Ise's passing, you see, my grandmother came here to tend the grave and found a stranger kneeling before it. A knight, dressed head to toe in plate.
What?
She asked of him who he was and whence he had come, but received no answer. The only words he spoke were, "Tell me true, whose grave is this?" So she told him of how her people had met and cared for Ise, and how she had died. His only reaction was to stare up at the air of hours in silence. Then he left, never to be seen again.
You said he was wearing plate. Was it black and gold?
Do you know something of him?
When we went up to the Air of Hours to unravel the spell, we were set upon by a shade in the shape of a knight in full plate. It manifested in front of the Vare, and in its ether, I felt Shiva, the witch.
You think this may have been the same man my great-grandmother met? Issei's knight?
I don't know. Maybe. All I can say for sure is it was intent on protecting her creation.
Or perhaps her spirit. What remained of her ether, preserved in the Vare. Perhaps his spirit too became enravelled in her spell, frozen in an eternal vigil.
Till we ended it.
If the shade you fought was Issei's knight, then ending it was the greatest gift you could have given him. Now he can return to the sea, to be with his lady once more. And if his spirit should ever return here to visit her grave, I shall ask his name, that I might carve it in the stone next to hers.
That they might be together. Once and for all.
Oh my gosh, they're going heavy on this, aren't they? They're hitting us with the feels in here. Beautiful quest. Beautiful. It was never about the monsters this time. It was always about the grave. Well, that leaves one quest, one final quest in the entirety of Final Fantasy. We're not done here, apparently, are we? Yes, maybe? Any final words? Any parting words? Did not mean to shoot you in the face with a spell.
Thank you, my lord, for reuniting them.
Yes, of course. Yes, of course. I'll be on my way then. Is there a... Do we reckon we might have passed and been so locked in combat that we didn't notice any sort of tears? Or, not tears, like dripping sounds is what I meant to say. Very different from tears. I'm just listening for dripping now. Ah! I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this. I was listening for the sound of water dripping. I don't want to fight random monsters in the woods again. I could go the rest of my life without doing that. I will pass. I will carry on without you. Thank you. Almost back at the bridge. Leave me alone. There we go. Can we just fast travel back to town? Actually, we can. We can just fast travel directly to Haven, which is spectacular. We could have done that earlier, too. But if we'd done that earlier, we would have never found the one and only bit of aquamarine we've ever found and will ever find. So I think we made the right call. So now it ends where it began with our dear friend Shula. We're gonna... Oh, you're back here as well? Okay, I mean, we left you down there by the grave.
My lord.
I think we've already asked about the future, if I'm not mistaken, so I think we'll leave.
Fare you well, my lord.
Absolutely. Shula, tell me the situation.
You wouldn't happen to have some time on your hands, would you, Clive? Only I was wondering if you might help me with something else.
I'd be more than happy to.
Tell me. Another unruly dominant.
Not quite, but a dangerous foe nonetheless. It promises to be quite a hunt. Care to join me?
All right. Tell me about our quarry.
A fiendish, cold-blooded beast known as a Givra. Normally, we leave such animals well alone, and for good reason. But I have an even better reason to want its tongue.
Its tongue?
That's very specific.
If you'll permit me, tributary, I can explain.
Certainly, Yamila.
It's been over a week since me sister gave birth to her first child, yet she still isn't back on her feet. We've tried everything to restore her spirits. Physics and nostrums, the laying on of hands and of leeches, but all to no avail.
I don't advise the
The
leeches.
healers tell me there's only one hope left. A broth as potent as its ingredients are perilous to procure.
Yeah, if they're telling you to put leeches on her, I don't
It
think they
isn't
know what they're
only
talking about
Yamila's
to begin
sister who
with.
stands to benefit from this, by the way. There's her baby to think of, and Walias too. She'd agreed to be his wet nurse, you see.
I
I'd be
see.
glad to help.
Thank you. Our hunters have no shortage of skill, but this task calls for more than that. And it won't be achieved through weight of numbers either. The Givra is as wary a foe as it is a deadly one. 2 hunters might catch it unawares, but any more than that, and it would pick up our scent a league away.
Then it is decided. The 2 of you will go, while Jill and I occupy ourselves here.
Why'd you say it in such a sketch
Perhaps you might
way?
help prepare the broth. That would be most kind of you.
Come then, Clive. The river of time flows fast, and so must we. There's a Givra that has claimed the ruins at the foot of the mountain as its hunting ground. But as I say, they are wary creatures. We'll need suitable bait to draw it out.
I got a
The flesh of a
chocobo.
forest ibex should suffice.
To the forest, then.
This one's going to be a bit more involved, but once again, involves fighting monsters. Unsurprising. Entirely unsurprising.
There's nothing-
So where exactly do I need to go to get to this thing?
Givra loves more than a fat haunch of ibex.
There speaks the voice of experience. Do you hunt often?
Since I was a girl, my father would take me. Then after he returned to the sea, Yamila's father. Our families have always been close. Even if her sister wasn't Walias's wet nurse, I couldn't stand by and watch her suffer.
Fair enough. The reason we didn't fast travel because it was because I wasn't sure how long the 2 of them were going to go on for chit-chatting, and I didn't want to miss any important dialogue. I think we got some pretty
Where will
useful
we
stuff
find them?
there.
Further in.
We got to be on the lookout. We got to be listening always for the sound of dripping. Now we know. I'm worried that going full tilt through here, we're not going to hear the subtle sound of dripping. Right through here? I think we might be looking at them right there. I think that is what an ibex is. Do you reckon we could just kill one
These will do nicely.
with our chocobo? It kind of looks like we could if we wanted to. Yeah, I think we might be onto something here. We found like a way to cheese this previously, where I think if you get up against, like into a corner, where the chocobo never quite gets down, yeah, you can like trigger the attacks more rapidly. Do we want to do this for all of them? Seems a bit silly. Oh, here we go. Oh no, this was the perfect murder corner. We had it. I'm worried that if we keep doing this, we're gonna push it outside of the its range. Yeah, see, we've wandered too far. That is unfortunate. All right, you know what? Get off of the
Straight
chocobo.
home now.
That was funny, but not ultimately very useful. This will be much more effective. This right here. Hey guys. At least it's still just the 2 of them, so it is counting the other 2 as having been defeated. This would have been way quicker, though. But not nearly as funny. Oh, are they still alive? How?
Finished!
I think we are finished, Shula. I think we've got them. I think we're good. I'm glad it didn't just, like, say we failed the experiment. Or the, the objective.
Return to the sea, and to the clouds rise again.
That's beautiful. That's lovely right there. Oh, is it the sound of you mutilating its flesh? Oh, that's beautiful. That's wonderful right there.
We have our bait, then. What next?
Next, we pay a visit to the Dark Gate to pick some local weed. It'll help disguise our scent.
This is quite the involved quest. All right. I don't exactly know where this gate is located. I guess in this direction. Remember, we have to be constantly listening for dripping water. We have gone this way before, though I don't remember why. I don't think this is the way... You know, this is the way to Maiden's March. I should just not talk. Clearly, I don't know what I'm talking about at any point.
There should be a sprig or 2 of local weed growing somewhere around here. Look for the golden leaves.
I mean, I see plenty of golden... leaves right here. I would call it more like sun-dried, but... maybe slightly
Is this
parched?
it?
Aye, that's the stuff. Crush the leaves between your fingertips and rub them on your clothes.
If you insist.
It's comedy! We love it!
You could have warned me about the smell.
Like corruption, isn't it? We'll have an honour guard of flies before long. But it'll stop the Gavra from noticing us. Its nose will tell it we're nothing but a feast for worms.
Oh, I feel so much better.
Don't we have to pass
can
back
wash
through
it
town
off
to get to the bottom of the
afterwards.
mountain?
If there's one good thing about the Gavra choosing the ruins for its hunting ground, it's that there's plenty of fresh water nearby.
Oh, no, okay, we're going this way. It's all, like, linear. That's nice.